on the ATL Fan Podcast today, we get into the U.S. Open. And also, too, it was a magnificent display of college football that happened this weekend. We break it all down for you here on the ATL Fan Podcast on fansfavoritefan.com. Check it out now. Right now, I just want to tell you guys about a little secret, especially if you are a small business owner or you're a CEO of a company that's about to be a Fortune 500 company, or you're one of those people that just works from home or remote because your company is somewhere out there and it's not in the Atlanta area. Well, I want to let you know about Spaces Midtown East. And Spaces Midtown East has a friendly staff. They are very open and welcome to the type of business that you are running. And just to tell you more about it, we have the regional manager here from Spaces Midtown East, Steve Choy.
Oh, thank you, Alex, and thanks for getting that secret out there. And absolutely, not many people know, but I think they're starting to learn more and more about what we do. We here at Spaces Midtown, we provide both collaborative space as well as private space for all types of professionals, whether that be individuals like yourself or small companies and even large companies. And so I really do appreciate you giving us a chance to get a shout out there. And I absolutely enjoy having you and Fans Favorite Fan come out. So if anybody out there wants to come take a look at what Spaces Midtown East is about, let us know that Alex sent you. We'll offer you a 5-day test drive. Go to www.spacesworks.com and come on in and set up a time, and we'll have you come in and take a test drive for free.
Thank you, Steve, for those kind words and that information, because I definitely couldn't remember that off the top of my head. So I definitely appreciate that. It is a block north from the Fox Theater, and if you've lived in this city for about a year, you know where the Fox Theater is. So just check them out. They're right on Peachtree Street, and I'm going to put the link to their website in our show description. So be sure to check out Spaces Midtown, and they'll definitely hook you up. Hello, friends. I hope you had a fantastic weekend like I had here. Well, I wasn't actually here in the ATL. I was actually out in Arizona. I know that's really random to think. The host of the ATL Fan Podcast was out in Arizona this weekend. I wasn't covering any of the Arizona schools, even though Arizona, the University of Arizona lost, and I was actually on a flight back with some BYU fans thinking that they were hot stuff because they stopped Khalil Tate. But that's here nor there. But I know it sucks this morning if you're a fan of one of those Florida schools. Not talking about the Florida Gators. Obviously, they won easy win. But the Florida schools that actually had to play a tough opponent, well, you came up short this weekend, and I kind of feel for my good buddy Mark Rick, who I never really met, and Willie Taggart. I'm really rooting for him to see how he can come through at Florida State. Obviously, he didn't come through last night. That offense looks really explosive, but no defense. Kind of like the NBA. The NBA can get away with it, but in college football, you can't, unfortunately. And I know that sucks. But actually joining us today, who's kind of like, I want to call him right now our contributor, producer for
Be
the
careful.
ATL Fan
Be careful
for the
now.
ATL Fan Podcast because he does a lot of behind the scenes work for the ATL Fan Podcast. It's Steve Choy is joining us today.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Well, hello, Steve.
I
How was your
appreciate
weekend?
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. It was Labor Day weekend, and I didn't have to do any labor. So
What about like Joe Biden, who was like, "You better be grateful for your job." My dad told me you should be grateful. Did you see that speech?
I didn't see the speech, but everybody should be grateful for their job or for the opportunity to work.
Absolutely, and I'm glad I'm doing this on a Tuesday. I've been looking forward to actually doing this podcast throughout the weekend and bringing it to you guys, talking all about college football. But Moose good, bad this weekend.
It's been a great weekend for me. I can't really complain except I didn't have enough sleep. We'll get into it later.
Me too.
But the match last night, which is probably one of the best matches of the year, just played on to past midnight, and I was like, really? This always happens to me.
Hey, I was watching college football it ended at 11, but I was like, had to do some stuff because my brother David Berger actually put an article out on fansfan.com. Be sure to check that out now or after you listen to this podcast, that's more appropriate. But first, before we get into the U.S. Open talk, and I know you probably saw this, Steve, I definitely had to look back at it. We want to clean some dirty diapers from the weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, we want to be able to just clean some dirty diapers.
Okay.
Get that out of the way.
All right.
Push that out of the way. Even though
I don't know if I want to touch dirty diapers, but go ahead. Yeah,
but we
yeah.
have to talk about it, unfortunately, in sports and everything like that.
Okay, all right.
But you know what? You just change it real quick and wipe it down, and then you're done. You're done. So that's what we're gonna do right now.
Let's do it.
Over the weekend, Maria Taylor, who I personally met, and Nick Saban, who I have not met, got into it a little bit, and it's all over the sports world. I'm not really going to play the video because I don't want to get sued by ESPN. So
That's another dirty diaper.
that's another dirty diaper. So, but what ended up happening was Maria Taylor asked Nick Saban about the quarterback competition and pretty much asked, like, where do we stand with all this craziness? Nick Saban did name Tua Vailoga the starter this weekend against Arkansas State. So that one's finally that's finally done. But the thing about it is the way he reacted when he got answered that question, because it's like he started off saying it's like, you know, I like both those guys. And I'm starting to like Nick Saban.
Wow.
I know. I'm watching Rolling with the Tide, that show and everything like that. I'm just like, he's starting to become a decent guy to me. He's not like this guy who only cares about winning and that's pretty much it. But the thing that turned me off is when he snapped back at Maria and said, it's like, I'm tired of answering this question. Was pretty much what he said. Go look it up.
I think that's a fair. So it's interesting that you have that take, that you're defending or you're, sticking up for Maria. And I think there's some validity to that. I personally didn't watch the clip, so I can't tell you exactly. But I have a bone to pick with sports journalists. I think a lot of sports journalists are trying to come up with a story, and they're trying to manufacture a story, and so they keep poking at a bear, hoping for the bear to roar. And now that the bear roars, now it's time to talk about something.
I see your point on that, but at the same time, I've been in that position before at the smallest level. Let me just put it that way.
Sure.
And first of all, a lot of those questions are, I don't know exactly how it is, but usually a lot of those questions are fed by a producer.
Sure.
So it's not
she's just the messenger.
She's just the messenger sometimes. I don't know exactly how that works.
Sure.
So I'm going to give ESPN credit of the doubt in Maria Taylor, because Maria Taylor is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in this business.
Fair enough.
She's actually friends with our boss, Don Montgomery Green. So So knowing Maria Taylor, I don't think she's trying to necessarily try to poke the bear. I just think they're trying to get decent clip, and that's all what a post game interview is about. You don't have to tell us everything; just tell us something. Just get how you feel about things, and obviously Nick Saban said how he felt, but it's kind of like he could have answered it instead of saying I'm tired of answering that question. He could have been like, "Hey, I like both those guys. We are gonna stick with Tua, but we're definitely gonna need Jalen." He could have said something like that, and it's like, or he could have said, "But hey, I'm glad it's over now. I don't have to answer this question anymore." Instead, there's a way to deal with this with class, but Nick Saban gets away with too much because he's won 6. Well, I know this is probably a strange segment. What do you mean by words of wisdom from Bane? Bane was the villain in Batman, in the Batman comics and Batman cartoons. He was also a villain in the 2012 film that should probably have won an Academy Award. Maybe I know a lot of you guys are probably going to disagree with me, for The Dark Knight Rises. Ooh.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like the Dark Knight movies that Christopher Nolan
Took it to another level.
but yeah, he took it to, well, first of all, I think they're the best movies of all time.
All time.
Of this generation, I should say.
Okay.
Of my generation, of my millennial generation.
It's fair.
I'm kind of showing my age here. The Dark Knight is one of the best movies.
They were pretty good.
Time.
They were definitely very good.
So what I'm going to do.
Best Batman movies forever.
Is I'm going to have Bane on the show. Because Bane has some.
All right.
Yeah, Bane has some things he wants to say because he's a big college football fan too.
Do we have enough room at this table for Bane? He's kind of big.
He is kind of big. It'll just be over there.
Okay.
That's enough space
yeah,
over there.
That's definitely enough space for Bane.
That's not for Bane to be mic'd up.
Awesome.
So we're gonna have Bane on, and because his plot to take over the world, it takes time, like anything else. So
you gotta trust the process.
You gotta trust the process. Exactly. Good sports phrase right there. Here's Bane on the first week of college football.
The people of Gotham with the truth, and it is time for me to resign. And do you accept this man's resignation? And do you accept the resignation of all of these here?
This weekend annoyed me very, very much. Especially the University of Georgia. And before I go on, since I have time, before Gotham's reckoning, that I must say, the running back for the University of Georgia, James Cook, is a savage nonetheless. And I like savages. But he upended another player when he wasn't looking. I don't mind cheap shots, but I do mind when you have to have a 2-quarter suspension before you play the South Carolina Gamecocks. That is unbecoming of be one of my men in the revolution. Also, too, I was very disappointed with the state of Florida. Even though the Gators played no one this weekend, which, hard times are coming for them, I see that. For the Gators. Never liked a gator. Always eat gators. But anyways. Miami and Florida State, both rivals, both going to eventually play each other. This is how I de-stress from planning my reckoning. Gotham. And very disappointing games. Miami, first of all, looked like a bunch of street thugs instead of conquerors of the ACC. They look like they couldn't even hold a pistol. That's kind of sad, I have to say. But anyways, Ball disappointed against the LSU Tigers. You lost to a man of a football team that can't decide if he likes biscuits or cornbread. That is a man that is not fit to lead a football team or a revolution. Now, with Florida State had high expectations. This is supposed to be the marquee game of the ACC and the weekend. Instead, you let a bunch of turkeys that you're supposed to have on Thanksgiving run all over you. How does that happen? How does a bunch of turkeys go against a Native American warrior? It doesn't make any sense. Especially when you wear those black uniforms. I thought when I saw those black uniforms, I was like, Florida State is going to win. They are going to manhandle. Instead, you got manhandled yourself. Back to the drawing board if you're Willie Taggart. It looks like you're going to be in a rebuilding season. This is Bane's words of wisdom.
Right now, we are having way too much fun right now for a human being to have. I can't believe this is work. This is like, pinch me. Like, this isn't how it's supposed to be after I come back from a 3-hour flight a couple days ago. But man, having a fun time today, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah, this is like non-Labor Day.
Non-Labor Day. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. Maybe not when we stop recording, because that's when the real work starts.
Oh yeah.
When we try to push that show. Yeah, if you guys work in the internet age or know how to promote content, you know what I'm talking about. Twitter and oh gosh,
Fun stuff.
fun stuff. Yes, fun stuff. Now we're going to talk about the bulk of our show, which is fun stuff. We're bringing back the CFB spread. Last season, the CFB spread is when we talked about all about college football. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, because no NFL. NFL starts Thursday with the Falcons taking on the Eagles.
Yeah, that should be a good game.
That should be a good game. But we're going to digest and just kind of go through here what happened this past weekend. It seemed like on Saturday that everything went according to the script, like it was supposed to. This wasn't really a big weekend in college football. I mean, last year, it was the throwdown pretty much. You had FSU, Bama. Who's gonna? Is it gonna be a rematch in the national championship? Even with Georgia, like even though they played a small school, they played App State. App State's like, we're gonna take on all the big boys since we beat Michigan. We don't give a crap, especially too since this past weekend y'all almost took Penn State. Yes, I said Penn State to overtime. You're not supposed to do that. Penn State's supposed to be a better team than that.
Yeah.
Trace McSorley and company and man. But the crazy thing about this, I think you're going to like this, Steve. You know, between Georgia Tech, Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama, I mentioned Georgia, right?
You did.
By the way, just to let you know, if you don't know what my fandom is, the cords right now, if I could show you guys a picture, which I can, the cords that are hooked up to my voice recorder are red and black. I'll just put it that way. They scored over 185 points combined.
Wow.
Now, granted, Georgia, Clemson, and Georgia Tech all played Division II schools. Alabama made not Clemson. Why did I say Clemson?
I don't know.
I don't know. Just comes out.
Yeah.
That's why I was slow in school. But anyways, they actually played Louisville, and
Is Louisville a good school?
Louisville's supposed to be a good school,
Yeah.
but it's like right now it doesn't really have a great reputation. It's kind of the devil school because you have a coach like Bobby Petrino who really doesn't have a soul outside of his team. I mean, he used to be the Falcons head coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the only reason why he signed up was because of Michael Vick. Well, guess what? Dog stuff happened with Michael Vick. And he was like, no, Michael Vick. Well, deuces! I'm out of this city. I don't want to put up with the Georgia Dome. I don't want to put up with the Falcons fans. I'm going to go sweet Arkansas. And that's exactly what that guy did overnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
He missed the Super Bowl.
He did miss the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Too bad for him.
I know, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, too bad.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
All the great things that have happened to the Falcons, even though it's been up and down time.
Still.
And still, he could work miracles with Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Oh well, his loss. I'm surprised when he had to play Georgia in 2010 that he actually made it on the sidelines. I thought he was going to be decapitated.
Yeah. And he came back to play Alabama and lose at the Benz, too.
He did, yeah.
So, great memories for him.
No, that wasn't actually at the Benz. That was in Orlando.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Who was at the Benz this weekend?
Auburn and
That's
Washington.
right. That's right. See, you can tell how much of a college football guy I am.
We still love you, Steve. We still love you. So Alabama turned Louisville into a Division II school this weekend.
Wow. Womp womp.
I mean, literally, it was like 30-0 going into halftime. 30-0.
Were they projected to put up any kind of fight? I mean,
Yes, like Louisville was supposed to be better than this. Granted, they lost their quarterback, and I just lost the internet here at Spaces Midtown.
what? That's not good.
That's not good.
I think it
No,
might,
we just got it back. I got
might just be your laptop.
I got a breaking news thing from CNN, so that always means I have like the internet. It's probably something about Trump.
Most likely.
Most likely. I'll just put it like that. It was good to hear President Obama this weekend speak at John McCain's funeral. Just FYI. I don't like to put politics in this, but I'll say it like this. I'll respect my commander in chief, whoever it is. I'll just put it that way. And it was good to hear. It was good to hear old Barry spitting some words.
Barry and W. They should go on the road as like a comedy duo.
Oh, they should.
Actually, I think Bill Clinton and W should go on the road as a comedy duo, like Dumb and Dumber.
That'd be hilarious. But let's stop making fun of the commanders and chiefs of the country and talk about Alabama, Louisville, even though Bama just roll, Tide roll. And you're giving Nick Saban gave Alabama fans a reason to be arrogant once again. 50-14. 50-14 for a marquee game.
Wow.
They've done this to USC. They've done this to pretty much whoever they played since like 2013 with their opening games. But Tua had over 200 yards passing, 2 TDs. Damian Harris only had 55 yards rushing. Good gosh, that's terrible. But I guess that's how much they.
How many plays did he rush?
He had 7 carries. So only gave the ball to him 7 times.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah. This is what happens when you lose Lamar Jackson. And and the game was supposed to be a little bit closer. I mean, Bama was supposed to roll out of it with a couple of couple of touchdowns, not like 51 points, but another win for Bama. Clemson handled their business. I was impressed with Georgia and what they did.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I only cared about what they did for like the first couple of drives, and then I was just like
Cruise control.
Right, cruise control. Then it's a bad sign when you have your third string quarterback in, and the stadium is pretty much empty by that time.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you schedule these games. I feel like these should be preseason games in college football instead of just. Yes, I'm one of those people who wants preseason games in college football.
But it's big money for the other school, isn't it?
It is big money, but I'm kind of like, pay those guys doing a preseason game.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was the team they played again?
Austin P out of Tennessee.
I've never heard of that school in my life.
I didn't even know they were governors until like a couple of weeks ago.
What is the mascot for Austin P?
A governor.
Oh, it's a
And like it's like the turn of a century type of governor, guy with a top hat, a mustache that goes out to here, like
okay.
You see the logo?
Right, yeah, I do. It's like some kind of villain out of a James Bond movie or something.
Yeah, kind of.
Hello. I'm the mascot for Austin P. We just got totally obliterated by the Bulldogs.
Well, unfortunately, Wofford was in the same boat with Clemson, and you had Trevor Lawrence playing, which that's pretty huge. Getting majority of the stats, throwing for $1 and some 38-7 and change.
There you go.
So had 3 touchdowns. So this is the evolution of Clemson, and looks like they're in a 2 quarterback system right now. Dabo hasn't really announced a starter at this point. So another blowout, obviously. That's kind of the frustrating thing about this weekend was, even though it's the first weekend, you have these soft games going on that are relevant to us, really. Georgia Tech, oh my gosh, Georgia Tech, those new uniforms, they look cool. Don't get me wrong, they look cool. Talked about it in a couple of podcasts a while ago. But in the sunlight, and this is going to drive a broadcaster absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy, because I've been in that spot before. The numbers, because they're gold, reflect off the sun. So guess what? You can't see the guy's number when it's those gold letters.
Wow.
So it's like, if you're one of the guys in the booth calling the game, you don't know who scored a touchdown, especially if they're in the end zone in the sun.
So you're just kind of like, that guy.
That guy looks like he's like 5'10", ran in there for a touchdown.
Right.
Like, you have to really know the roster.
Isn't that kind of like your job?
That is but it's one of those things. For me calling a game,
Sure.
It's like 11. That's Aaron Murray. That was Aaron Murray. 11 was Aaron Murray.
Right.
But that's Jake Fromm right now.
Traveling back in time.
I just did a Vern Lundquist right there.
There you go. There you go. Chris Fowler.
Chris Fowler's good with college football. He might not be with tennis, but it's like, yeah, doing a Vern Lundquist. But yeah, it's like 11. That's Jake Fromm. 25. That's Akil Crumpton. 16 at this point. That's Trevor Lawrence. 2. That is Brian Kelly.
Wow.
So it's like, that's all I associate, like, real quick.
Who's 22?
22 on the Georgia Bulldogs is McBride.
Wow. We are dealing with some next level stuff here, guys. Like, Alex Berger is like Russell Crowe.
Gladiator or
Yeah. Let's go with Gladiator. Have you guys seen this guy?
I don't think I have the hair for like the haircut that Russell Crowe has, and I don't really like that.
Okay. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Oh man!
But so it was a good weekend for you then,
It was a good weekend. I was very impressed that the Georgia game was in Arizona. Got to take a little drinky drink.
And Georgia Tech's uniform, I mean, yeah. I mean, so, what do you give it grade-wise?
It looked cool when they presented it.
Right.
But I probably now, with like the gold numbers, I would say it was a classic Georgia Tech look.
Okay.
Better than a lot of the other uniforms they've had over the years.
Nice.
So I was going to give it like a 10 for representing Georgia Tech.
Nice.
But now that I saw the highlights of the Acorn State game, and it's in the sun, I have to downgrade it now to like 8 or 7.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Even though I root for a team in Athens.
Sure. But you're giving all of Atlanta love.
I'm giving all of Atlanta love.
Some general Georgia love.
Some general Georgia love. I mean, I think it'd be cool if like they wanted to go out with the gold stuff, like go with Atlanta United gold. I think that's a little bit of a better
More
look.
subdued.
It's more subdued.
Less shiny.
Less shiny.
Yeah.
You could probably read the numbers when they go in the end zone. Like literally, that's one
Touchdown, of the that guy.
That's literally one of the things that drives a broadcaster crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and actually, by the way, it's not the broadcaster's job to actually remember the numbers. It's the job of the spotter.
Ah, the spotter.
And I've actually been a spotter. It's fun stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. If you want to go into broadcasting, try to be a spotter. Like, if you're a college kid listening right now, try to be a spotter. But it's literally like I covered a high school football team, and they had these weird, funky numbers. That it's like, is that 15? Is that 20? Is that 16? Who just scored? And then it's like you have to waste time going down a roster, and be like, oh, it's Benson that scored.
Nice.
So can you understand the frustration?
Well, I guess the good thing is they probably don't score that much.
Right. Maybe for... Yeah, it's called the Paul Johnson Death March. But Georgia Tech scored a good bit to defend the Yellow Jackets right now from your shade.
What was the score?
41-0.
Whoa. Who'd they play?
Acorn State.
Oh, okay.
One of the schools in North Carolina. Actually, Paul Johnson, the head coach, was alumni.
Okay.
That's another frustrating thing about college football is the fact that, it's the fact that these people will schedule these like nonsense schools and they'll just go off connections. Like they were an alumni of that particular school.
Sure.
Paul Johnson said in a press conference one time, he's like, oh yeah, Akron State, I'm an alum. Don't get to see them much on Saturdays because he's working his own job.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's.
So next week's schedule, is it better?
It's better.
Who's Georgia playing next week?
Georgia's playing South Carolina.
Oh, that's a big game.
Yeah, in the top 25.
Nice.
Clemson plays Texas A&M.
So the season really starts next week then.
If you're an Auburn fan, it started this week because you barely squeaked out against Washington.
Yeah, that was a big game.
That was a big game here in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I thought I'm a fan of points. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. You like high scoring.
But I don't like Steve Spurrier. I'm a fan of points, but I don't like Steve Spurrier. Go figure that. So I like seeing games that can outscore each other.
Sure.
That's just my thing. This is why I don't watch Alabama that much. Because they're extremely boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I get the strategy behind it. Play defense, run the ball, pass if you have to.
Right.
It's a good combination when it's not entertaining at all.
Yeah.
I know you guys are in the same boat as I am on this.
Yeah. I mean, football is all about scoring touchdowns.
Right. And since you're a Niners fan, you can understand since you guys have had some running backs and you just hand it to them.
We've had some high-scoring offenses, too.
Right. Passing the ball.
Yeah.
But there's high risk when you pass the ball because you get interceptions.
True.
If you guys have never watched the game of football. That's just an obvious thing. But Auburn did good. It looked like at one time Washington, it was going to go their way, but they ended up fumbling. And I'll be honest with you guys right now. I'll be totally honest with you. I was in Arizona for a weekend for a church conference. So I just watched the game that was relevant to me. I didn't watch the games that were relevant to the rest of the nation. So hopefully you can give me a little grace on this. I'm going to be better next week.
You didn't watch that Stanford game then?
I read about it. I read about Bryce Love, was just awesome.
Nice.
See, at least I get up on my subjects.
Yeah.
But I told one guy at this conference that I host a podcast, and he was like, "Man, you know more about football than the average fan." And like, yeah, he hosts a podcast.
Yeah, it's like
So
the Gilgy Bear.
Start hosting a podcast if you need the confidence boost, because it's an easy thing. Buy microphones, buy a voice recorder. Boom.
Yeah, I think you're selling yourself short. If anybody sees Alex and sees the background that behind the scenes of what he does to put together the show, you'll know it's not just a simple, let me get on the microphone and start. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes to it. So
yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, especially if you're on your own marketing. That's one of the reasons why I joined fansfavoritefan.com. Check that out. It's because all that stuff was provided for me.
it's awesome.
I know, it's awesome. It's awesome when you can reach that plateau of your career and just talk on a Tuesday just about football while everyone else is working on grown people stuff.
Right.
We can talk about kid stuff. Like, I want to grow up and be a Toys R Us kid, but all the Toys R Us are closed right now.
Yeah, that's a really sad thing. Let's not get into that.
Let's not, but this is all, like, we're just...
One of these days, so as you guys know, I'm Steve Choy. My dad coined the phrase Choys R Us. And so one of these days, I'm going to talk to somebody that is like, I don't get it. What's Choys R Us? Because there's no Toys R Us for reference.
Right.
Sad. Real sad.
It is really sad.
I felt like something died in me, too.
I think if you're a Tennessee fan this weekend, you felt like something died when you got ran up the score in Charlotte, 40 to nothing. I'm checking the score right now.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 to 14, starting the Jeremy Pruitt. I can't believe I screwed up his name. Jeremy Pruitt era. Hopefully it's not an error, because I like Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah.
My dad says he just coaches for the wrong team. But you can't be an assistant forever.
Yeah. You gotta have a chance.
You gotta have a chance. So I'm somewhat rooting for Jeremy Pruitt. Somewhat. I mean, I hope the guy does well. Will Greer just passed all over you, and Will Greer lived up to the standard of why he should be a front runner for the Heisman. Who would have thought Will Greer, coming from Florida, and he looked like he was on fire at Florida, and then he gets some bogus thing going on. I really don't want to get into it, and he's kind of like the humbler Cam Newton right now. That you gotta love. Gotta love it if you're Will Greer. Everyone's talking about you. You threw for over 400 freaking yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know the last time that happened?
When?
Was on my Xbox. When I was playing NCAA football.
Nice.
That was the last time. Well,
Nice.
it's also happened to RG3.
Nice. Would you say your record was like 12 national championships in a row?
When I did a dynasty, yeah, I did like 12 national championships in a row at Georgia.
That's pretty awesome.
I know. Kirby's Kirby's calling me right now and telling me what my
Yeah,
secrets were.
I think you should. I think you should join the team.
Yeah, I would want to join the coaching staff. But,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get hit around at my age of 31 years old, but I would love to be on the coaching
I
staff.
kind of want to know what it's like to get hit once. I might not live to find out how it felt, but it looks like it's fun.
I've gotten hit by a football player one time.
Really?
Yeah, with
Like
no
full
pad.
steam, no pads.
Full steam ahead.
Oh, because you were on the sidelines or what?
No, we were actually playing ball, and it was pickup game, and I carried
Did he have pads on?
I don't know how I did it. I don't know if I caught a ball or I was running with the ball.
Sure.
But somehow
You don't remember?
somehow I got the ball, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I got the ball.
yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Then I was on the ground,
Lights
and it
out.
happened so fast.
Wow.
And the person, because this was supervised,
Yeah.
and the person that was supervising the game was like, "You do that again, you're out."
Yeah.
So I've gotten hit full steam.
Did you get up going, I'll take a box of Twizzlers?
No, I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, I got up, I'm like, whoa, like, I mean, you hit the ground.
Did it
and
knock
it's
the
like,
wind out of you?
It didn't knock the wind out of me.
Okay.
It wasn't that big of a hit.
Okay.
But it was kind of like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You're in shock more than
Sure.
anything else.
Did you fumble the ball?
I held on to the ball.
Oh, nice. Well, hey, then you basically live to tell the story then.
I've kept it on my bicep.
There you
so,
go.
Yeah.
I would have been like, no, but it looks interesting.
I hear my father in my ears like talk about sports. So let's keep on talking about what's relevant. We're gonna
Sure,
wrap things up here on
sure.
the CFB spread. Hopefully, I hope you enjoy this conversation, because this conversation right now is like a bouncing ball, like one of those bouncy balls that you get out of a thing in a grocery, out of the help me out, Steve.
The candy machine or whatever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's just bouncing around this like room we're in right
That's
now.
right, that's right.
That's this conversation.
We just missed
Let's-
Bane.
Yeah, we just missed Bane. Bane's talked more sports than we had right now.
That's awesome.
But this is the beginning of what should be a great season. To me, if I would wrap it up about college football is kind of like that ex-girlfriend. Why you just saw her, spent some time with her, and you don't know why you broke up right now, but you like what's going on. You like what's going on.
But eventually, it won't last.
Yeah, it won't last. January will come around, and that'll be over, and
And then you'll be missing her by summer, right? Is that how it works?
That's how it works. It's a great time of year right
yeah,
now.
it's a terrible cycle.
But
hey,
it
it's
is what-
early in the relationship.
of reigniting the
Yes,
flame.
there you go.
that is
Rekindling
college
the
football.
flame of college football.
It's fun till your team loses. So
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
so Tennessee right now, honestly, is probably like, I saw my ex this weekend. Crap.
Now I remember why I'm single.
right. Or even worse, now I remember why I don't like women.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hopefully you don't get like that.
Eh.
Women are
Happens.
very, very wonderful thing that God's put on this great planet of His.
Indeed.
So
So looking forward to next week then.
looking forward to next week. We should have more things to talk about here on the ATL Fan Podcast. That was the CFB spread. Just want to do a little shout out to the weekend real quick. Like I said before, I was in Phoenix, Arizona this weekend for a singles conference with my church, and I just want to give a shout out to two great ladies with Nikki Gilbo, who I've mentioned on my podcast before, and she helped me out through some things, and glad that she could make it there, because she was kind of on the fence and going to this thing. So glad you could be a part of that experience. And also Ashley Perry. Ashley's kind of like that song by Pharrell, Because I'm Happy. Like, she just radiates happiness,
everywhere she goes, and I was happy that she was there at this conference because when she doesn't show up to these conferences and isn't part of these things, well, to me, they're just not happy. So thanks for being there, Ashley, and thank you, Bane, for stopping by. Steve Choy, that was a fun conversation. We're gonna get Steve back on the podcast a whole lot more. I know you guys love Steve Choy, and that is it, guys. That's the first weekend in college football. NFL is right around the corner. It's game week if you're a Falcons fan, Titans fan, and or whoever you root for. I know there's some Patriots fans like my brother that live in this state. So more power to you guys. This is where we need your help. We are the ATL Fan Podcast. Keyword in there is fan. So be sure to like us wherever you see the wherever you see the ATL Fan Podcast, because we're on Fans Favorite Fans social media. So that's where you can find the ATL Fan Podcast. We're on podbean.com. If you guys like this show, guys, subscribe to the Podbean page. We need some subscribers. We only have 3 right now. We're gonna bump that up eventually. So that way you know when the ATL Fan Podcast comes out, you'll get a notification on your phone, so you can listen to me, listen to Steve, listen to all the great hosts we have on here, including Dawn. I know you guys love Dawn. I love Dawn too. Thanks for the opportunity, Dawn. Also, too, be sure to comment, because we are interactive, and we're trying to figure out what ways that we can be more interactive to fill your guys' needs as sports fans. So be sure to put in the comment section, not comics. We did have a comic villain in here today. Be sure to put in the comment section how you feel. How'd you feel about this weekend if you're a Tennessee Volunteer? How'd you feel if you're a Georgia Bulldog or Clemson Tiger? Or you're a Nick Saban detractor or defender? But, man, I love me some Maria Taylor. She was awesome to me the time that I met her. So put that in the comment section. Comment, because we'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. Go check out fansfairitfan.com right now. I give you permission to do this. You don't have to, because you finished the podcast. And thank you for listening to the podcast all the way through. If you've listened to us, we definitely appreciate that. And you guys are great. We got a fun lineup for you the rest of the way out until the national championship, to the Super Bowl that is here in the ATL. By the way, just a friendly reminder about that. Steve Choy wants to carry our bags during the Super Bowl, so we're going to try to see if that can happen for him. But ATL Fan Podcast, episode 80 in the second season. Out.